This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Saturday, August 24th, 2024, as we're going to talk about this week in WWE. It is also 1 week away from Bash in Berlin. We're going to have our preview and prediction show later this week. I'm back from vacation, doing the show a little bit early, and that way I can have a little bit of free time tomorrow night to kind of just relax. I got to be honest, I need a little vacation from the vacation. Now, those of you that have younger kids will know it's not really a vacation for you. It's a relocation. For the kids, I mean, they love it. They don't care what's happening. Raining, snowing, doesn't matter. They'll have a good time. But so anyway, I'm back. We're here. We're going to talk wrestling. And we're going to talk this week in WWE, as we saw a week that it wasn't the most exciting week in WWE, I have to say. It wasn't one that made you go crazy. But it was eventful, and it moved things toward the PLE in 1 week in Germany. And it was a fun week in some respects. I know a lot of you weren't a fan of SmackDown this past week. A lot of you said it was a snooze fest. I mean, I don't think it was. I mean, there was no Roman Reigns, but have you not been paying attention to Roman Reigns' schedule the last 4 years? That's not changing. The Roman Reigns' schedule is probably going to be as it has been, maybe a few more dates here and there, but he's not going to be at every single show. So I think we need to take that expectation off the table. It's out. He has a new schedule, and good for him. We did get a lot of championship matches this week, from the Women's Tag Team Championship to the Men's Tag Team Championship over on SmackDown, and a U.S. title match. And we're starting an Intercontinental title tournament to decide who is going to face Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental title. And I do think at the PLE it was mentioned by LA Knight that he's going to be there and whoever wants to challenge him. So I could be wrong, but is there some kind of open challenge posed by LA Knight for the PLE in Germany? I think that would be fun. We haven't had an open challenge in a while. Remember when John Cena did it with the U.S. title? Not a bad way to introduce new talent. So we'll see if that's actually the case when the final card comes out this week, if there's any changes or modifications and additions, subtractions. That is modifications. But all right, well, let's get into it here as we are on the Week in Review episode of this show for the week. It's our flagship show for the week, and I hope you guys enjoy this. If you want to go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast. It's the place to go if you want to get ad-free everything. I hope you decide to join us over there at Patreon, because I think we got a lot to offer. I think we do. And we have a new show as well, not wrestling related. So just be forewarned. Okay. If you're not into politics, you're going to hate this show, but it's out there, and it's called The War on Truth. Again, those of you that are searching for me, I'm on every possible platform, I think, at this point, although some may be lagging. There's another show similar to that name. I'm not the BBC one. I'm the logo that has the laptop with the War on Truth text. All right. So that's me, not BBC. So, all right. Hope you enjoy that. If not, well, then don't check it out. Just stick here on the WWE podcast and let's talk wrestling, as we have still a fair amount to talk about. And the first thing that pops in my mind here as we run through some of the big points from this week is Jade Cargill and her 6-woman tag team match that she had. She continues to not be a single star yet. She continues to be molded and protected by Naomi and Bianca, and I don't mind that. That's not a complaint or a jab at Jade. I think that she still has a lot of work to do, but she's got one of the biggest elements you need down to be a wrestler, and that's the look and the entrance. I like her music. It's serious. It's kind of the antithesis of, in a way, Bianca Belair. who is still at 30 some years old, twirling her hair around every single time she comes to the ring, skipping down. I hate it. I've hated it for a while. I don't hate the performer. I think she's, again, one of the best athletes the company has, but the twirling of the hair needs to stop. It needs to stop. But for Jade, she's got the look down. She's got the entrance down. She's got all of the outward stuff down. And that's important. I'm not trying to devalue that. But she needs to continue to work in ring and promos. And once she gets those two down, I think you'll see a massive shift in the company's strategy for her when she goes single, whether it's her turning on her team or her team turning on her. But for now, it looks like they're still kind of protecting her and getting her to a point where they feel that they're comfortable with her going solo. That's clearly not yet. But what better to pair her with than Bianca and Naomi, veterans of the organization, both very good performers. Obviously, Bianca's, I think, a premier performer, and she'll stay there for a while. And they opposed Ivy Nile and Isla Dawn, and I thought it was a good match. You know, I had the idea that the three women there of Bianca and Jade and Naomi would win that match. They should have won that match, and they did. And Bianca and Jade are going to be challenging for the women's tag titles at the PLE on Saturday. I don't expect them to win at this point, but final predictions coming this week. I think that you have a team right now in Bianca and Jade that you look at and go, oh man, who's turning? Maybe, again, we're not ready for that. And WWE's not ready for that. That is a team that I think could be here in 5 to 6 months. It could be here still through WrestleMania until they're ready for Jade to go solo. So while I was kind of rushing things, I think maybe I need to slow down in that, Bianca's going to turn. Joe finally going to turn Bianca heel. I don't think I should think like that, even if they lose outright at the PLE challenging for the women's tag titles. But I think there's a real chance they could win them. Bianca and Jade had them, didn't hold them long, which surprised me, lost them, and then it's very possible they get them back. I wouldn't say it's a slam dunk that they lose, but the question is, if they do lose, how do they lose? Because they're clearly the overwhelming favorite to win that match if it was straight up. So is there a miscommunication? Do they tease the breakup between Jade and Bianca, but don't actually pull the trigger yet? What happens? Do Isla Dawn and Alba Fire end up doing something sneaky to win that match? I mean, Isla Dawn and all her pentagrams, maybe she should, utilize the power of Satan to do what she needs to do to win that match. I mean, so I don't know. It's just something to me that I've noticed with Jade. And here's what I will say. She is the one that gets the hot tag. She's the powerhouse of the group. She's still the star of the group in a way, even though she has not yet been proven as a real in-ring asset yet, or rather a premier in-ring talent yet. And I think that for me, I would change Jade Cargill's finish. When I saw her do a choke slam on SmackDown, I loved it, because how often do you see a woman do a choke slam? And I'm talking about doing it properly. It was, to me, when she hit it, I'm like, whoa. Can anybody recall the last time a woman properly did a choke slam? Not this really kind of weird modified, like, well, there might be a choke slam. No. Like an Undertaker or Kane-esque type of choke slam, the old school choke slam. I know Baron Corbin, I know I'm switching to men here, but Baron Corbin has used it in the past. Has anyone, particularly women, ever made it a finish? Has it ever been transferred over as a finish? It should be. I think Jade is tall enough and strong enough to make the choke slam work as a finish for her. I like it better than Jaded. I don't think that she'll change it. My opinion, of course, is going to fall on deaf ears. But I like the choke slam. It's a move that we've all kind of forgotten about, because the super kick has been the go-to move for anyone and everyone. When they don't know what to do, they just hit a super kick on their opponent. And Shawn Michaels is just, I mean, could you imagine, like, what does Shawn Michaels think about all that? He had to have been asked at this point. I know he's been teased about it, but it's, anyway, back to the chokeslam. Just a thought. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Jade should implement the chokeslam? Do you even like the chokeslam? If it's done properly and made to look like a finish, I think it's one that could be reintroduced as a finish. So that's just a quick thought that I had with her match with the 6-woman tag. So, all right. Well, beyond the 6-woman tag team match, we had a United States title match on SmackDown, which you guys can get the full SmackDown review from Amanda from the UK, who did a brilliant job as always every week here on the show and covered SmackDown head to toe. That is our previous episode. You can go check it out. And we have a United States title match between LA Knight and Santos Escobar. One that, it's a program I've really enjoyed. And Santos, when he turned heel originally, I think overachieved. Maybe too much to where he did such a good job in his promo and his turn on the LWO that I had such high expectations, but I don't think WWE did. Knowing what they know now, maybe they would have changed things, because I think Santos is so damn good on the mic. He's got a great heel presence, way better than his babyface kind of faceless, nameless part of the LWO. He has really set himself apart. And I think that he should continue on that path. And yeah, he's kind of moved on from LA Knight. He is not going to be in the United States title picture anymore. But his match with LA Knight was really good. LA Knight at 40 some years old, 40 or 41, still are doing things that is, you know, pretty damn impressive for his age. He has a fascination with jumping up to the top rope and doing moves, or, you know, jumping backwards on the top rope to do a move. That's risky, bro. Because I know there's been a couple times he slipped, but the oils the guys have on and the sweat and all that, I know they wipe down the ring ropes now, but still, it's a high risk type of maneuver that I don't need to see from LA Knight. I know he does it to show his athleticism. Not a complaint, okay? For those of you at home with your tally sheets of how many complaints I make per show, this is not one that you should score in that column. I think LA Knight is athletic enough for me where I don't need to see him doing what everyone else tries to do with the flip-flop fly stuff. But LA Knight, his reactions seem to be getting bigger by the week again, where it really, the flames were getting fanned pretty well heading into the Roman match last year. We all knew it was going to happen there. And then after that, he was kind of pushed to the side. His reactions, I think, maintained at a certain level that was high, at a high watermark, and then it dipped for a bit, and now it's back. He won the U.S. title. The reactions LA Knight's getting from his entrance are pretty damn impressive. And I think that you could look at that and say, you know what? Perhaps WWE, if this continues, decides to move him into a title picture. Now, it can't be for the Undisputed Championship. Why? Because they have plans right through WrestleMania with Cody Rhodes. They may not have every detail or every single PLE that's, you know, one of the quote-unquote B-level PLEs with Cody booked yet. But with The Rock's impending return and the debate of should it be Rock and Cody at Mania or Roman and Cody at Mania, or I'm sorry, Roman and Rock at Mania, there's a lot that you could do with Cody Rhodes on that front with the Solo Sikoa continuation. You know, you have a potential Randy Orton turn, which I really love and I'm looking forward to in the future. And in fact, I would argue that after the whole Roman Reigns tie to Cody fades away and the whole Bloodline versus Cody thing fades, that Randy Orton is going to be the first one to strike. That it won't happen until then, because that would be really weird that you have two massive heels against Cody. It doesn't make sense. So Randy Orton will strike, and that's one they have in the hole. They can have an ace in the hole there with Randy versus Cody at WrestleMania and Roman versus Rock. That's how I would book it. But what the hell do I know? But back to how they manage LA Knight here. If he's not going to be in the Undisputed title picture, well, they've already shown us that people from other brands can just come over and indiscriminately challenge for the world championship on that show, which I vehemently disagree with, but that's the world we live in with WWE. They want to have their cake and eat it too. And you could easily have LA Knight be traded or just, hell, come over with no explanation and challenge the world champion over on Monday Night Raw, which could be Gunther at the time. And I think it still will be. I think Gunther is going to maintain that championship for quite a long time. There's no need to surprise us or shock us. Oh, wow, he lost it. No. Don't get cute. I think his world title run should be exactly what it needs to be, which is long standing through WrestleMania, maybe past WrestleMania 41. But LA Knight could be one of those challengers. What if it's LA Knight versus Gunther at WrestleMania? I mean, not impossible. Sure, there's Seth Rollins thrown in there. You could have a Punk. Right, but I think Punk and Rollins is probably going to be the WrestleMania, a WrestleMania match. And if Gunther's still champion, that kind of leaves him open if Drew's not chasing him again. And you have LA Knight, who kind of is stonewalled by what's going on with the Bloodline and Cody and Rock and Roman and all that. That's going to be going on at SmackDown at that time. And then you're going to have LA Knight maybe wide open if he lost the U.S. title earlier in the year, or maybe loses at the Rumble and then enters the Rumble. I mean, I'm just spitballing here. My point is, if the reactions continue in this direction and Gunther, who you're going to keep champion until WrestleMania or through WrestleMania, needs an opponent, LA Knight could very well be that guy. Yes, he's on another brand, but they don't care. So really, we're looking at this as a unified roster to pick from. But the match this week with Santos I thought was very good. And you have LA Knight, here's the important point, wins clean over Santos Escobar. And that's an important point. And he also overcame a beating early in that match, which I thought was also really important. Now, on to some things that I'm not a big fan of. So I'll give you two things I'm really a fan of. Here's one I'm not. The segment this week with Nia Jax backstage and Tiffany Stratton and Pretty Deadly, who are now weirdly aligned with them. They're all bowing down to Nia, subservient to Nia, as the kind of stereotypical heel version of a queen takes shape. And look, I have been proven wrong about Nia Jax. I've been very complimentary of her work since she returned, which has been surprisingly good. I've said that she feels confident. I've said that she feels like she's been reborn, and that's all true. This version of her where everyone's subservient, and Tiffany Stratton, who is one of the strongest women that they have, one of the best athletes, again, that the women's division has one of, is all of a sudden bowing down, and then Chelsea Green gets purposefully caught talking about how it's inevitable that Tiffany's going to cash in, and everyone needs to, that she wanted everyone to fix her crown and all these things. And it's weird. I don't know. I mean, are we just in a holding pattern for Charlotte? I think it's a holding pattern for Charlotte. That's probably what this is, but it just feels over the last couple of weeks anyway, which is a small sample size, that Nia Jax's run has been stalled. And you can't always be on the ascent. There are plateaus, there are dips, and this is probably just one of those dips. But yeah, it wasn't great. Now, on to something that I'm really back and forth on that happened on SmackDown too. With Kevin Owens and his continued support of Cody, his forced title, he was force-fed a title opportunity, which is really disrespectful to the championship. I know that he was trying to play the good guy, and I don't want to be handed anything. I want to earn something. That's not what you sacrifice here. Like, really what you're sacrificing is the idea that the wrestlers are there to win championships, that you scratch and claw all your career to get these opportunities. You take them when you can. They don't come along often. And Kevin Owens pretended to be this like first day employee that says, no, guys, I haven't earned anything. I don't want to be promoted. Just I don't want more money. I don't want, no. That's not It made the championship and his character look stupid. It devalued the championship because everyone's sitting there going, what are you talking about? You don't deserve it. Number one is nonsense. And number two, we're supposed to believe that everyone's here to win championships, or at least want to win them. That's what makes them so damn important, is people want them. So it was weird. I did not like that from last week. But this week, Kevin Owens, who I am a big, big fan of, I really am, he is getting clearly more time on the mic to just be himself and not be scripted, and that's fine. And as he came out during A-Town Down Under trying to convince Cody that he's going to be turned on by KO by showing Cody all of the times he's turned on his opponents, like Sami Zayn twice, 3 times, 4 times, whatever, like Chris Jericho, like Kofi Kingston, that Cody should be weary. But like, why would Kevin Owens turn on him if he's already got an opportunity at the belt? He's already got that. But Kevin Owens comes out and he defends himself, and he essentially breaks the fourth wall, if there is one left, and says, I'm just going to skip all the nonsense and just have somebody come out here and make this match a tag team match because we know that's what's going to happen anyway, essentially. And then we have Nick Aldis come out, and Nick Aldis makes it official and said that was the case and that we're going to do it. And KO then says that, well, do I have enough time to go down and punch one of them in the face before the match? And Nick Aldis, it was funny when Nick Aldis said, well, just make it quick. So that was funny. That was nice comedic timing. But my issue with this is, with Kevin Owens saying, do I have time to do it before, because I know the segment's ending or something. We don't talk about segments. What do you mean the segment? Obviously, there are segments. The show's broken down by segments. Do you hear the announcers saying, all right, and in our next segment here, we're going to go backstage. In our next segment, we're going to go... No. That is such an admission that you have a certain amount of time to do things before they go to the next thing. That's not how this show should be presented. The show should be presented as cameras are there, wrestlers are doing stuff, let's capture it. It should feel unpredictable. Instead, it's just a constant, it's an admission that this show is insanely structured, which it is, but I don't want to feel like it is with the people in the actual show telling me it is. That was weird. I know he's being all meta and cool and saying what the fans are thinking, but there's a way to do that doesn't undermine your own product. It's a fine line, but just don't say, "Oh yeah, hold on, guys. How much time do I have left in this segment that we already talked about happening? How much time is left in this segment that we already pre-planned?" That's what he's saying. I know no one else seems to be complaining about this. I love KO, but dude, you went a little overboard with the meta stuff. Tone it back. I know you're trying to be the guy that says things that fans are thinking. I get it, and there's times and places to do it. But don't talk about segments and stuff like, we know it's going to be a tag team match. Like, yeah, we do. I mean, that would have been okay in and of itself, but I've never heard any wrestler ever on air, or maybe an announcer, say the word segment in reference to the show itself. So that was really off-putting for me. Love you, KO, but dial it back. I want, at least lie to me. Lie to me better. Make me believe. Just try to not pull back the curtain the entire show. It takes a lot of the fun out of it. But let's move on. I mean, Kevin Owens and Cody do end up tagging together. There is some kind of hesitation on the part of Kevin Owens when he takes the belt after the match, and they beat A-Town Down Under, as you'd imagine. That would make no sense that they don't. And it looked like he was going to hit Cody Rhodes in the face with it. Instead, he walks by and tosses him the championship. Cody looks a little suspicious. Ultimately, he just decides to believe it. And all is well. That was weird, kind of thing. Here's the thing. I really don't know if it's good if KO does turn heel. We have a massive group of heels right now. We got a lot of heels floating around. But with Roman, who is about to get his family back on the horizon, that kind of negates the bloodline. And maybe there is room for a KO heel turn. Maybe there is. And does that mean it's against Cody? Does it mean it's against LA Knight? Maybe they're setting us up for, yeah, hey, here's all the things we would do if we're not going to turn him. Now let's turn him. That'd be pretty smart. I wouldn't truly rule out a KO turn yet. Even though they showed us all these things that would really direct you in the path of, well, if they showed all those things, he's not going to do it again. And it does look like he's changed and all on and on, right? Wouldn't that be the time to turn him? I think there's an argument to be made to keep KO heel or turn him heel. It's been a little while. We've seen KO heel. It's good. So he could work with Cody. Maybe that's the payoff for this match. Because you know that Solo's going to get involved. It's very possible Roman shows up in Berlin. Possible. But what's the payoff, though? And also, if Cody is there, what vested interest does Solo have in having him lose to KO and KO becoming champion? I mean, that doesn't make sense. So I'm not sure what's going to happen here. It is very interesting. It is very interesting that you have KO being teased as heel. Then they show these things to get you off the trail that he's going to turn heel, which would then make sense to turn him heel when the scent is gone away and fans are off the bandwagon there. So it's setting things up. But why would you have the bloodline interfere in this match at all? Like, they have no vested interest in this. Either bloodline. What do they care about these two? To them, it's still a family member's not champion. So what do we care who comes out on top here? But if that's not the case and the bloodline doesn't get involved in this, if they don't, then I think we have a KO heel turn coming. Because if we don't have a bloodline big payoff and Solo and Roman end up facing off, and that's when Jimmy and Jay return and all that, if that's not what this match is being set up for, because make no mistake, this match is being used as a platform for something else. This match is a vehicle to get us to whatever they're trying to get us to, which is maybe a KO heel turn, or maybe a Roman Solo face-off, brawl, return. Oh, here comes Jimmy. Jimmy will be the first one to return to help his cousin. Maybe we'll have Paul Heyman in tow. But I wouldn't expect a full on, oh, here comes Sammy, here comes Jay. Sammy and Jay are still on Raw. I think that they're going to remain on Raw until it looks like they've kind of run out of things to do, which they're getting close to doing. So, that said, the KO thing is very interesting to me, though. I wouldn't write off the heel turn just yet. I know a lot of people have. I would be very weary. I'd be very weary of KO and his possible turn. So, all right. Let's talk about something else that happened on SmackDown a little bit here. I don't want to go too much into it. We did also see the, what was it? Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa versus the Street Profits. Now, I actually have no issue at all with Solo Sikoa taking the Tag Team Championship belt from Jacob Fatu and giving it to Tonga Loa, or is it Tama Tonga? One of the two. And said, I need you more. I need you to be my right-hand man. I need you to be my protection. I know some people took it as a slight to the championship, but there were championships remaining in the same group. It's a matter of just moving the chess pieces inside your group to put you in a position for the best chance to be successful. And Solo felt that, his character felt that Jacob Fatu in that protector role, in that right-hand man role, is a better role. Now, you see what they're doing here. Do you see what they're doing? Jacob Fatu was anointed as the right-hand man to Solo. Who was the original right-hand man for Roman? Jey Uso. So when Jey comes back, maybe you have Roman say, after Jimmy's already come back, you have Roman face to face with the new bloodline. They're still outnumbered 4-2, but Roman says, you have your right-hand man, and so do I. And the OG right-hand man, and Jey Uso comes out and comes face to face with Jacob Fatu. That makes sense to me. So they gave the title of right-hand man to Jacob Fatu, knowing that down the line, they're going to have a perfect mirroring on the other side with the original right-hand man. To me, that's the best way to do this. But again, with such a successful storyline, I know many of you are bored with it, but it's far from over. You have, I think, you'll have a hard time really screwing this up. I mean, if you don't like this storyline, you're not going to like it at all. I mean, maybe until The Rock comes back, you get a little more interested. And is Rock going to face Cody? Is he going to face Roman? Is Roman going to face Rock? There's still lots of combinations they haven't done yet. And since there's a lot of combinations they haven't done yet, you're going to lose your mind. For those of you who don't like this story or are bored with it, you've got a long way to go. In fact, one can make an argument that this whole bloodline saga, all the different combinations of who's going to face who and the big storylines, the big matches, may not be complete. Wait for it. Brace yourself. Until WrestleMania 42, which is purportedly in London in the UK. That's now, I did not trying to break any news or start any rumors, but that's what's believed to be the location of WrestleMania 42. So, in WrestleMania London, right now, the rumors are that that's where the Bloodline saga ends. Maybe that's where Rock Roman ends, which ends this whole thing. But we shall see. So we've got maybe a year and a half for those of you that still just are done with the Bloodline stuff. But here's the thing, though. For those that are annoyed by it, I get it. I understand why you are. But if you're the company and your goal is to make money, and this group continues to make money for you and continues to spike the ratings, you're going to put out there what gives you the most money and ratings. You're a company that's trying to make money. You have a fiscal duty to maximize the amount of money you make for your shareholders and stockholders. You just do. I know as fans, the creative end of things in our minds is priority one. And that everything should be to satisfy us. But guys, remember, most of us that are listening to this show and that love WWE and pro wrestling generally are not stockholders in the company, in TKO. WWE obviously got absorbed or bought out. But if that's the case, then we need to switch our viewpoint here. If we are not the biggest financial piece to the company, and the shareholders and stockholders and the sponsors are, that means that we don't get priority all the time. You know, WWE wants to make us happy because we do put money into the company with merchandise and sales and network subscriptions and everything else that goes along with being a fan. Ticket sales, merch. But ultimately, we are still not the number one source of income for them. So we need to remember that. And I think as fans, sometimes we forget. You know, as the saying goes, not everything the company does revolves around what we want. It just doesn't. And at times I forget that too. All right. Well, what else do we want to talk about on SmackDown here? BFAB got a little bit of dialogue. That's always interesting. I don't know what they're going to do with BFAB, I have to say. I'm not sure. Maybe she can spend some time with Flop Dollar. I'm not sure. But, and I said that half jokingly, I hope BFAB finds something to do other than be this kind of just, non-factor, really a non-factor in the Street Profits group. I don't mind her with them, but there's just nothing of significance that she's done Really, since she came to the company. Didn't she have like a little bit of an interaction with Zelina Vega at one point, but that was kind of it. So, all right. Well, I think that'll do it for the SmackDown end of things. For Raw, as you guys remember, we had a Drew McIntyre and CM Punk confrontation, all about the bracelet. And we had Gunther, and we had, let's see here, Sheamus versus Pete Dunne. Sheamus was this week also in a bar, I guess he was playing bartender somewhere. It was in Ireland. And then he got everyone to say banger after banger and all that. And Pat McAfee obviously has taken a leave until January for football and his podcast. And let's see what else. Ivy Nile versus Maxine Dupree, with Ivy Nile fighting Maxine Dupree to a no contest. We got, again, the announcement from McAfee. We got Punk and Drew, and the announcement of a Texas bull. Was it a Texas bull rope match? No. It was a strap match. Same thing. Same idea. And we had the continued descent of the New Day. Hallelujah, hopefully. With Odyssey Jones being that straw that's stirring the drink on that front. We had the Final Testament versus Kofi, Xavier, and Odyssey, with Kofi, Xavier, and Odyssey beating the Final Testament. And after the match, Woods was reserved while celebrating with his overzealous partners. And Bronson Reed versus The Miz in a no DQ match. This ended in The Miz losing to Bronson Reed, and Bronson Reed was stopped in his tracks by Braun Strowman. So Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed is a thing now. For the time being, it looks like the tsunamis have ceased fire. At least those that are going to be injuring his opponents, because Braun is out there as our moral guide, our moral overlord, to make sure that there's no bullying whatsoever going on, and that he can work with Bronson Reed. But I think that's good, because Bronson Reed needs a challenge here with a guy that is not smaller than him. How does he react? How can he overcome? Even though he's a heel, how can he overcome Braun Strowman? And I think he should. I don't think there's any reason for Braun Strowman to win this program, however long it goes. Bronson Reed is, you talk about going from this just big guy that's made a couple splashes here and there, no pun intended, to a guy at the forefront by injuring R-Truth, by injuring, quote unquote, Seth Rollins. And that's been his deal, and the fans have loved it, which is kind of surprising. But I've explained why in my previous show of why I think the fans love it, and it's because it's not something you see often. And fans love brutality. So they're kind of cheering, even though he's a guy that's destroying one of our favorites in R-Truth and Seth Rollins. The fans have been going along with it. They've loved it. One more time. So I don't know if that's a referendum on his character connecting with the fans, or the fact that the fans just don't care that much about Seth Rollins' character or R-Truth's character. But if you attack R-Truth and you still get cheered, that tells you it's not really about Bronson Reed. It's about just the moment. It's about the destruction, the pure violence. People love that stuff. So Braun Breaker made an appearance and just said he felt sorry for the person, whoever wins the tournament, to face him for the Intercontinental title. Rhea Ripley and the Judgment Day continued. We got a women's triple threat for the tag team titles. This was Alba Fire and Isla Dawn winning and retaining their tag team titles. We had, let's see here, Randy Orton versus Ludwig Kaiser. That was 14 and a half minutes, with Orton beating Ludwig. And after the match, Gunther came in the ring, fought with Orton, and the show ended with those two brawling. So, a fine Monday Night Raw, a fine SmackDown. I think things will heat up to a boiling point this week. If you're not interested in a particular program or match, you may be by the end of this week. And that's WWE's job, right? That's the company's job, is to make you more excited to see the event, and ultimately not just excitement, because excitement is an emotion that usually leads to investing your money, which is really what they want, in purchasing merch or the tickets to go to Germany for those of you that are overseas, or for network subscriptions. So it behooves them, of course, to make you more excited about something than you otherwise would have been going into the show. And I think that they will. I think that they will do that this week. With such quick turnaround times between PLEs, that's the good news, is that they don't have to stretch out things to a boring point. Of course, boring is very subjective, but they can save the best for last, and I think that's what they're going to do here with building for the PLE this week. But I think that'll do it for me, guys. I know about 40 minutes feels a little short, but that'll do it for the week in review, as we have Bash in Berlin this week. As I said, we have a preview and prediction show coming this week. I'm not sure when. It might be the Friday mailbag combo thing. Seems to work best with my schedule. And if you are on Patreon, thank you so much. You can join the Discord server. If you don't have a Discord link on the Discord server, message me internally, and I will give you that Discord link to chat with the others who are patrons and are lovers of pro wrestling. You can connect there. And also, Apple Podcasts is a good place to go. Spotify is a good place to go. And catch my new show if you are so inclined. Again, it's very heavy on politics and culture. So if you don't want to hear it, don't, of course, go. This is just an invitation. I'm using my platform to help promote my other show. I'd be dumb if I didn't. But I also know that some of you are completely on the other side of what I feel and what I think about certain topics. It's an unfortunate thing. I said this in my previous episode, but it bears repeating, because even though I just started my show, I've had some people on X message me or in email, and it's not just debate. It's just, of course, labeling and all that kind of stuff. There's no better way to tear apart families and friendships than talking about some topics like that. And it's unfortunate, because I love talking wrestling, which really, wrestling is playing in the sandbox. You know what I mean? Wrestling's a place we go to escape the things that I talk about on my other show. The real world stuff. And even if you're not into politics and culture, it's in your face whether you want to admit it or not. So I think that it's important to talk about, and especially with this being a big year for politics. But all right, I won't talk about anything else other than that. See, I'm not getting into specifics. You notice I'm just generally talking about it. So for those of you saying, I don't want to bring in politics to the show, I'm not. I'm just saying the word politics, saying that's what that show's about, But I'll pause there. I'll stop. I'll shut up. Thank you so much, everybody, for supporting the show. I do appreciate it. And again, conversation is a lost art form today. And whether it's a love for wrestling, a differing opinion on cultural items or other forms of entertainment, it's unfortunate that we just can't have discussions anymore. Everything is, my view is correct. If yours is differing than mine, then I don't respect you anymore. It's unfortunate. You even see it with wrestling. I mentioned that in my previous show too, but it's important to reiterate some of this stuff that's surrounding all of us, that when you see people not engaging in conversation and instead just throwing elementary insults, it's because they are intellectual cowards. They can't intelligently defend their position, so instead they throw labels and hope that you'll cower in fear, or that you'll just stop talking because you don't want to be labeled this and that. Which, again, I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking even about wrestling. Even wrestling fans can be brutal to each other, and it just sucks sometimes. But I know most of you listening love wrestling, and we all share that passion. We all share that passion for wrestling, and that's one that I think most of us will stick with for life. And it's one of those few, because you notice with wrestling, even if you leave it, people seem to come back. How many emails have you heard on this show that people leave wrestling for like a decade and then they come back and they have to catch up on everything over the last 10 years? Wrestling draws you back. It draws you back, and maybe it's a clip you see on TikTok or whatever, and you're just like, ooh, what's going on? And it brings you back. And I hope that this podcast provides a place for you guys to interact with not just me, but with each other. Now, my opinion's only one opinion. But, all right, that's enough. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. I'll be back tomorrow with a nostalgia show, or maybe just a rerun of something. I'll pick out something special tomorrow that you haven't heard in a while or at all. And then, of course, Tuesday is the review for Monday Night Raw. That'll do it, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.